This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
And welcome everyone to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and today we are going to jump straight into NBA first, and then we are going to jump into football, a little bit of football, as well as a little bit of baseball, as well as a little bit of Skip Bayless, as well as a little bit of just a lot to talk about today for the sports podcast. Today is the birthday of the great late Jackie Robinson. So we're going to definitely discuss him later on in the episode. Hall of Famer, awesome athlete, amazing guy. He broke a lot of barriers. I'm going to give you guys a quick history lesson on him. Not history lesson, but a quick 1-2 for the one time for him in honor of him and his legacy as a ball player, as well as some things that are as we're leading up into the Super Bowl as well this weekend coming up. So there's a lot to discuss, like I said, but first I want to jump into the NBA. Now, with the NBA today, there were a lot of games last night that were played, and if you were playing at home, unless you were the Phoenix Suns, it was a great night for you. The Kings lost to the 76ers 119-122. DeMarcus had 46 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists, but it just was not enough for my Kings to roll over the 76ers. So like I said, the Sixers did beat the Kings. Robert Covington had 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists for his squad. The Brooklyn Nets went to go visit the Miami Heat, fell to them 96-104. Isaiah Whitehead of the Nets had 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, but Dion Waiters, 19 points, 6 rebounds, and just one shy of a double-double. He had 9 assists. For the Heat, the Magic lost to the Timberwolves 105-111. Karl Anthony Towns had a great night. I love Karl Anthony. 23 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. I'm very, very excited to see him grow up and develop in the league. I really, really am. The Pistons fell to the Boston Celtics 109-113. Isaiah Thomas, 41 points, 8 assists, and 2 steals for the little guy up top. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, we're going to jump into what happened after this game as far as LeBron James and Charles Barkley, but the Cavaliers lost to the Dallas Mavericks 97-104. It's not looking, January was just not the Cavaliers month. They are 7-8 in January gameplay. LeBron James had 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. However, Harrison Barnes of the Dallas Mavericks threw up 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. The Grizzlies were the only team on the road last night to win. They defeated the Phoenix Suns 115-96. Marquise Chris of the Phoenix Suns had 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, whereas Mike Conley had 38 points for his squad, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. So he had a really good game last night. And so I wanted to jump into some updates with the NBA. So it looks like Derrick Rose, he did sprain his ankle. He's going to be out for now. He is in a walking boot, so we're going to see what it's looking like for him as he works through this injury. We'll keep you updated on when he is expected to return, because like I said, he's out for tonight. When they go to see the Washington Wizards, and most likely will sit out tomorrow against Brooklyn. So we'll keep you guys updated on that, because again, he's just having a rough month. He really, really is. Isaiah Thomas, with his great game last night, has gone 32 straight games with 20 plus points, and this is the second longest streak in Celtics history. So hopefully we'll see if he keeps it up in these next, it'll only be 8 more games to tie with John Havlicek. And if he gets 9 more, he'll beat that record that was placed in the 1971-72 season. And like I said, with the 76ers win last night, so the Cavaliers, on the flip side, they are 7-8 in the month of January, whereas the 76ers are 10-5 in January. This is their first time winning 10 games in a calendar month since January 2012, where they went 13-4. So that's really nice for them. They're having, Joel Embiid, we talked about him, and, how I'm feeling for him as far as All-Stars side is going. And again, this is another reason why they're having a winning month. He's contributing and being a big contributor to their winning month. And yet, it happens. So, but anyway, so we are going to jump into why LeBron James is calling Charles Barkley a hater, which honestly isn't, some people love Charles, some people hate him, some people mute him when he's talking. Others of us listen to him just to see what funny things he's going to say next. So, and when you are dealing with an analyst and as a player, there's going to be some reporters, analysts, commentators, whatever, that you're going to like, some of them that you're not going to like, some of them that just feel like they can't say one good word about you. And then on the flip side, as a reporter, analyst, commentator, there's some of us that will only discuss you when you're hot, but can't wait to discuss you when you're down, and vice versa. So it's just how the game goes. But now LeBron, he's usually typically very good about taking the high road when it comes to, opposition, words flung at him, mud, whatever, because, he's just used to all the hate. But Charles Barkley did mention, he did call last week LeBron James. He said he was whiny, inappropriate, and just basically he was saying that Charles Barkley was saying that the Cavaliers have always given LeBron everything that he has wanted. He asked for J.R. Smith. They gave it to him. He asked for Shumpert. They gave it to him. They brought in Kyle Krover. So basically he was saying that he's always getting whatever he wants, but is LeBron James really all that great if he needs all these good players around him in order to do anything? So that was kind of like a quick recap of last week with Charles Barkley. And then so LeBron James did say that in response, he was saying, I quote, "I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I never showed up to All-Star Weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend partying. All I've done for my entire career is represent the NBA the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble, respect to the game, print that." So my piece on this is that I get it. LeBron is over it. He's had a losing month. He's tired. He's frustrated. He's mad at everybody. He doesn't need these extra comments. And I get it. That's just, he usually, like I said, does take the high road. He usually doesn't say too much. He usually just says, he brushes it off. He's been, before he said that Charles has to say things just due to, for ratings, and that's fine, whatever, you got to do what you got to do for your job, whatever. But I get it, but I think it's funny to me. I kind of giggled when I first read this and was reading up on this and listening to all of this madness, I guess you could call it. And I just giggled because I thought it was hilarious, because LeBron kind of did a real low blow. He was talking about Charles spitting on a kid, Charles' debt, talking about this man's money. So I just thought it was a lot of a good giggle, because he was not just coming at him as far as from ball player to ball player, but was coming at him man to man and taking shots at his character. So we will see. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if Charles has something else to say in regards to this, but I really hope, and I really don't think after a rebuttal that LeBron will say anything else, because he's going to get back into focus mode. I'm hoping as we move into February that he will, just better for the Cavaliers, because I don't know, the way it's looking right now, definitely the playoffs, but deep in the playoffs, I don't know, because if another team comes in with the right mindset and comes in with that whole, let's just keep chipping away at these cracks that the Cavaliers keep exposing to everyone. And, even with the loss to the Dallas Mavericks, who everybody's kind of counting out as kind of old and whatever, a kind of whatever team, but yet they beat the Cavaliers last night. So we'll see. We'll see how this pans out. Like I said, again, I don't think LeBron is going to retaliate if Charles says anything else. He's kind of, I'm hoping he's washing his hands off of this one. So that's going to take it to us. That's going to take us to a quick break. And then when we come back, another diss that I kind of want to talk about, a whole diss track. So keep it locked here. To the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. I also, later on in the episode, want to get into Jackie Robinson, as well as some other things around the sports world as we look forward to the Super Bowl. There's still a lot going on, so keep it locked here. You're listening to the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. So I wanted to discuss the Le'Veon Bell diss track entitled Skip Bayless. Now, you can, I'm sure, figure out who it's directed towards Skip Bayless, of course. And so okay, so let's get into this. So Le'Veon Bell, and this is just making my morning. It truly, truly is, because I think this is hilarious, because you guys know that I think it's funny when some guys respond or diss or whatever, or they tweet. I think it makes me giggle, and some stuff is better than others. Some things are more creative than others. I just don't care for it when people bring in like family or kids or moms or dads, whatever. So like that whole book that was released, Coach Carl, not cool. But, little diss tracks like this over things that have been said. One, it adds some humor into sports. And as long as the guys can keep it as far as like business is concerned, as far as not making too personal of jabs, then I mean, it's cool. It's whatever. So anyway, Le'Veon Bell, aka Juice, that's his rap name. I'm just saying. So Juice, he released a diss track last night or yesterday, Monday, and it's entitled Skip Bayless. It's a diss track against Skip Bayless, and I just listened to it over the break. It's about a little less than 3 minutes long. You can get it on SoundCloud, but it's not terrible. It's not great. I'm probably not going to listen to it ever again. It's not something that I'm going to be bumping in my car or anything like that. But some parts were kind of funny, and some parts were, whatever. It's not the first time that he's gone after Skip Bayless. So it's not the first time. It's not the last time, probably. Some of his lyrics, let's see. I think you sick like a germ. You keep on talking all that nonsense. I'm going to call Richard Sherm. I don't know why you hate me. And of course he raps it a lot better than I'm saying it right now. He says they talk about patience. You close to testing my patience. You say whatever for ratings. I'm not blind. I can see. You say I'm just an average running back. No way you believe it. So basically he's coming after him because Skip has been, and I quote, and this was tweeted by Undisputed as well, that this is what Skip Bayless had said this morning as a response to the disc, because Skip, he heard about the disc. He heard Shrimp Bayless yesterday. It's not new news. It's old since it's from yesterday. But today on Undisputed, Skip did respond. And he said it's a really, he was saying about Le'Veon Bell. He's a really, really good running back. But my point from the start is Ezekiel Elliott is the best running back in football. And then, Undisputed even brought in Bun B as well. So, it was just good fun this morning if you were watching Undisputed. The insults do not bother me. I'm writing a diss track right now. So, we might see some coming in response from Skip Shrimp Bayless. And he even said that he really liked the track and that he thinks that Le'Veon Bell can rap. So, we will definitely keep you guys updated. I will. I don't know if Ben will care because I don't think that this is really going to interest Ben. He's probably going to think it's ridiculous. But I think it's funny. I think it's really funny. And I think that it's all in good fun. And I think that that's why Skip Bayless is going to come out. Can you guys imagine Skip rapping, though? A diss track, let alone a response track? Who knows who he's going to bring out and have featured on the track. But anyway, so as we keep it moving, so that's just, I guess today is just a day of, this whole weekend is just a weekend of disses. Le'Veon Bell, he is on break till, he's on off season. His team is out. We have the Super Bowl. We already know that he's not in the Super Bowl. He's still a little bit sour. He has a little bit of sour taste. So we will see, what Skip does next, if he does anything next. That I just think it will be funny, so maybe he can just do it to give us all a good laugh. Right? I don't know, maybe we'll see it during the Super Bowl, who knows. Anyway, so that is going to jump us into our last break of the episode, and when I come back, like I mentioned, we do have to discuss the great Jackie Robinson, as well as some other quick news that you guys need to get updated about in the sports world. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I will be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and so I am going on vacation for the rest of the week. So I'm not going to be here to give a preview with either Anthony or Ben for the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to be back in on Monday either to give like a recap with Ben of the Super Bowl and things like that. So I wanted to give you guys my prediction of the Super Bowl, which if you know about me and my predictions, you're probably cringing right now because you're hoping that I do not state your team. So here it goes. I am, of course, going in favor of the Atlanta Falcons because I always go for the underdog. And if it's not my team playing, I always go for the underdog. So I'm going for Atlanta. I'm going for the Falcons. I think it's awesome and it's cool, the history that is being made in New England with how many appearances they've had, all that. But how awesome would it be to be the Atlanta Falcons and to defeat a quarterback, a coach, a squad that is experienced in being deep in the playoffs as well as being experienced in Super Bowl play, and to beat them. So that's why I am going for the Atlanta Falcons, because I honestly don't really mind, because like I said, everybody knows I'm a Niners fan and the Niners aren't in it. So I'm going for the Falcons. So whoop, whoop, go Falcons this weekend. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to be watching the Super Bowl because like I said, I'm going to be in Hawaii. I'm hoping that my auntie and uncle are having something for the Super Bowl. If not, it looks like myself and my two girlfriends are going to find a nice place hopefully that has nachos. I love nachos. So hopefully a place that has nachos and is loud and has a lot of people wearing jerseys, screaming. 1 year in college, I watched the Super Bowl at the, Buffalo Wild Wings. And that was pretty fun. You just got to get there really early if you want to get a spot, because people get there extremely early, but they have fun games and raffles when I was there. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm hoping we can find a spot either with family, or if my family isn't doing anything, then, I'm definitely going to be looking for a place that's going to be loud and exciting and have like a lot of people cheering and screaming and all of that. I did watch the Super Bowl last year with my church. That was a lot of fun. We just watched it at church and everybody kind of like cooked, and we brought food. We barbecued. We watched it inside. That was fun. We had like one side where like the guys that were really caring about the game were watching it on one screen, and then everybody else and the kids were watching it on the other screen. Cause they, there's some people that watch the Super Bowl for the halftime show. There's some people that watch the Super Bowl for commercials. And then there's those of us that watch the Super Bowl because it's a championship game. So you got to sometimes split it up in order to make sure everybody's happy. So that's what we did last year for the Super Bowl, which is a lot of fun. I also went to my sister's house for the second half of the game. So I did a lot last year. And then I wanted to get into one more piece about the NFL before wrapping up the episode on Mr. Jackie Robinson. And so the Oakland Raiders, we know, are trying to make that move to Vegas and become the Las Vegas Raiders. So they put in their bid to relocate, and they are going to be having that that vote in it's expected to happen in March. So kind of soon-ish. It's now February technically. Tomorrow is February 1st. So in about a month or so, and it has to be approved by 24 of the 32 NFL team owners. So it's not 1,000% approved, not set in stone yet for that. But they're kind of hitting a glitch right now because a man, billionaire casino mogul Sheldon Adelson, has pulled out from his investment into the, so he's withdrawing his committed $650 million that he had committed to the Oakland Raiders $1.9 billion project as far as for that move, for the new stadium, all of that. And so that could actually put them in jeopardy because, I mean, you got to make up that funds. And so this man is pulling out, and that's a big chunk of change being pulled out. And so they did submit a lease agreement proposal last week that they had intended to actually that the Raiders intended to pick up the tab for that $650 million to keep their total commitment of $1.15 million, for which they would need to be accepted to be accepted as far as responsibilities and risks and things like that. And so it was they applied for relocation a few weeks ago, January 19th. And it was saying that he's a little bit perturbed He is the CEO of Las Vegas Sands Corporation, and that he was saying that he's upset. He's very angry, actually, because he was not only shut out of the talks with the lease document presented to the Clark County Stadium Authority, but he didn't even know. I quote, he said, "We were not only excluded from the proposed agreement, we weren't even aware of its existence." And so I get it. I mean, if I'm going to be giving you money, especially that huge amount of money, which probably isn't much for him, but still, that's a lot of money. And I'm supposed to be a part of this. And you guys, I don't even know that you guys are having these meetings, that you guys are working towards something, and I'm just kept completely out of the loop, not even briefed. Then yeah, I'd be mad. I'd take my money and go too. Figure it out yourself then. And so they are looking, they're still looking for a site. They want to build a 65,000 seat dome stadium, hopefully off of the Las Vegas Strip is what they are wanting to do. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated as that continues to work through itself and work through the kinks. And like I said, they still have to be approved, 32 of the 32 NFL team owners in March. So there's still a lot more to be done before it's actually an official move for the Oakland Raiders. And so I want to wrap it up with Mr. Jackie Robinson. Now, Jackie Robinson is one of the greatest in the game. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1962. So, and he's also my brother's favorite baseball player. My brother growing up, he did a lot of those. You know how you have to write autobiography reports when you're growing up? So he did a lot on Jackie Robinson. And one of the major things, a groundbreaking thing that he did and why his legacy has continued to be talked about is because he was the first African American to play in the Major League Baseball in the modern era. So he broke that especially when the Brooklyn Dodgers at the time started him at first base on April 15th, 1947. So today we are honoring his birthday today, January 31st. He was born in Georgia. And see, now besides just being the first African American in the MLB, he had a lot of other accolades to his name. In 1941, he was the first athlete in the history of UCLA to letter in 4 sports: baseball, football, basketball, and track in the same year. So, and now granted, back then, because even when my dad was playing sports in college, he was able to letter in 3 sports. But, and you know, back then seasons actually had an end and then another season would begin. So you could transition in between sports. It wasn't like the seasons how we have it now, so long and basically year round. But anyway, so he did letter in 4 sports, again, baseball, football, basketball, and track. So overall, great athlete. He played in 1,382 games. He played for the Brooklyn Dodgers, First off, though, he did play for the Kansas City Monarchs in 1945, and then with the Brooklyn Dodgers from 1947 to 1956. He was, his main position was a second baseman. And so he did a lot for baseball and a lot for the history of baseball by just being himself and by doing his best. He did play second baseman, third baseman, as well as first. His official name is Jack Roosevelt Robinson. And his last game, which, I mean, at the age of 37, he played September 30th, 1956. So some of you guys out there might have actually been able to witness his last game there of his career. And so he's sitting in the Hall of Fame. He was inducted, I said, in 1962. He played in the All-Star Game 1949, 1950, 1951, 1952, 1953, as well as 1956. 1954. He was awarded the Rookie of the Year award in 1947 and in 1949 the batting title, as well as in 1949 the MVP. So he, you know what I'm saying? He had a phenomenal career in baseball and broke barriers. He is still very much well loved today, and a lot of people, like I said, still writing autobiographies about him, of course, rightfully so. So he's a really cool guy. So I just wanted to wrap up this episode in honoring him on his birthday today. So that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. This has been the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline. Ben will be back tomorrow, and I will see you guys next week.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch, whatever it may be.